I'm thrilled to be joined with Campbell and Johnston. You guys are hitting the stage at the Sommo Festival in Cavendish, Prince Edward Island this weekend, sharing the bill with Alanis Morrisette, and I'm joined by Christine and Blake. Guys, how's it going?
Good.
How you feeling heading into Sommo? This is a little bit of a hometown show for you, right, Christine?
Yes. Well, I mean, Charlottetown. Sometimes when the province is smaller, the Summerside is like on the other side of the world. But it is my home province, and I do have a lot of family and friends coming, so it's cool.
Woolerton, is that what it's called? She's playing in Woolerton tomorrow.
No, that's more like Montague, until my bass player was from Montague, and then we realized we can get along just fine.
There you go. I noticed driving out here, like we're already in Prince Edward Island. We're pumped for Sommo Festival. And it's like you drive just a little bit and you go through like 3 towns, like, you know, and then you don't even notice any houses per se. But it seems like there's lots of little towns all throughout the province.
Well, and I mean, to be honest, though, PEI has come a long way. They're very cosmopolitan now, and it's grown so much since I moved away. It's crazy. It's still beautiful, and I still accidentally call it home, even though I'm basically, a Nova Scotian now. But yeah, it does still have those little towns that you can drive through, and it's pretty peaceful and tranquil. For sure.
You guys are going to be the first up on the main stage tomorrow. So how are you guys feeling heading into Sommo?
Good, excited. It's kind of the last hurrah, I guess, for us for the summer in terms of like festival stages we're playing. So we're definitely looking forward to it. Anytime I am allowed to turn my guitar amp up, past 2, you know what I mean? And actually, so we'll turn it to 10 tomorrow, is going to be a good time. So it doesn't matter to me. I just look at it like, I get to play extremely loud. Cool. So I'm excited for sure.
Obviously, it's a lot different than playing in a small theater or a small venue. You guys are going to be outside. But how does that, in terms of approach and preparation for you guys for a show, how is that different, I guess, to prepare for an event like Sommo?
Well, we've done so many different types of shows over the years, and they all take different things. And I definitely have ADHD, so it's never easy sometimes to try to coordinate everything. We do we probably do more shows duo-wise, and the stage is so big. Let's get the whole band out. So sometimes we even have up to an 8-piece band. This one's going to be a 7-piece. So still pretty big, a lot of people to coordinate, but the synergy, it's like a party on stage. It's so much fun. If it's a duo, it's a little bit more constricted. And sometimes that's cool because you got the storytelling and the intimacy. But with the full band, the energy's there and the synergy with so many players. And it's going to be a blast. I can't wait.
For festival stages like that, you're always on your toes because you don't always know if, when you're opening up a show like that, is there 4 bands worth of gear behind you? Like, you don't necessarily know how much of the stage layout you have. So you're always kind of showing up, trying to assess on the spot, and then get everybody set up and comfortable. And so you're always kind of flying by the seat of your pants, and you kind of have to learn how to adapt to those situations because it's a different animal than playing in a smaller club or a theater so you're always kind of trying to very quickly get everything set up and figure out what's going to be the best layout to do this. And so, which is cool because when you're in that kind of high pressure situation and it's a rush, right? People will often ask me like, how was it? Like, I don't know, ask me in a week. I'm still kind of, your head's still swimming around trying to figure it all out. So
every office is so different. And I do like things the same a lot, but unfortunately, every single office is like, it's nice when you have repeat offender fans coming out because they're the one static thing that, is the same and is nice to have in the crowd. And they're not going to heckle you too hard. It's interesting.
You guys are first up. I think you go on the stage at 1:00. So do you guys still have a time, or have some time set aside for for a sound check, that sort of thing? That'd probably be earlier on in the morning?
Technically, no, but maybe. I think the changeover, because we're first, I think we're hopefully going to get in early and get a proper sound check. We're bringing our own sound tech, so there is a benefit to being the first.
So now, heading back, I guess, back to 2024, that was a bit of a whirlwind, I guess, for you guys. Ottawa Blues Fest, the Harvest Jazz and Blues, open for Tom Cochrane. So looking back, a year ago, what are some of those memories, I guess, that really stick out for you guys?
You touched on a couple of them. We released the record last year, so we did a fair amount of touring through the summer. Some of our memories of last year are sort of hectic and like craziness, and we almost sort of, I guess, thought we needed a little bit of a break after last summer because it was sort of pedal to the floor the whole time. But there was definitely some highlights that felt like that was really cool. And you try not to put too much weight on things if you don't. It's a tough industry to gain ground in. So it's always sort of don't believe it until you see it, or try not to count your chickens before they hatch kind of thing. But looking back, you do have some of those moments like, opening for Tom Cochrane. And when we were there watching the show, realizing that guy played a set of 18, 19 songs. And every single one of them was like, I forgot how many songs. It was like, oh my God, yeah, that's him. And that's a killer song. Or that song that was a hit. You just realize, whoa, man, somebody like him, he's been doing it for I don't know how long. And he's just made such a career out of so many good songs that okay, we get to open for somebody that really is he's an OG. He's one of the lifers. So that's
he killed it, yeah. And doing Ottawa Blues Fest,
or doing this with Alanis Morrisette. It's like these are people that have made long careers out of doing something that we're trying to do. So anytime you get to kind of rub shoulders or play on their field, if you will, that's a cool thing.
And you mentioned Alanis Morrisette here at Sommo. She's an icon. Another one of those ones where everybody knows the big hits, but then I'm sure she's going to start playing some of those songs. They're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that one, kind of thing, right? As a more of a younger band or just kind of getting going, what can you take away from that's something obviously that you want to strive for, that longevity, to keep that going, I guess, right?
We're kind of, a little bit of vintage style. So you can tell that we like 60s and 70s. And we've had a lot of opportunities to open for some big names from the 60s and 70s, which has been amazing. But the 90s are also kind of another amazing time for me. And so Alanis Morissette, as well as Amanda Marshall, who we opened for this year at the Montreal Jazz and Blues Fest. It's cool because you're kind of going through another trip, and there's so much history there. For us, it's cool, and it's spent so much time shaping us. And yeah, of course, the longevity, that the music that we like is the classics, and we hope that our music speaks to that as well and sticks around long enough. The way we look at what we do is we always want to just be better at our craft the next year, more than anything else, more than having success with it. We just want to be able to always grow a little bit as an artist, but hopefully people still continue to dig it, and that we're kind of sneaking into the fabric of the present community, of music.
I mean, we were there in the 90s, so as much as I love and certainly romanticize the 60s and 70s and even late 50s in certain eras of music, and it's fun to read about that stuff, and it's part of music, but it's also kind of part of history. But we were there for the 90s, Alanis Morissette and Amanda Marshall were, sort of ubiquitously a part of the culture at that time. If, I lived in a rural town, but if ever I did get to go into a town, to a music store, the cover of Jagged Little Pill it's almost not even an album cover. It's almost like a piece of art from the 90s or something that you just remember seeing. I remember seeing that picture of Amanda Marshall where she's got her legs over I think it's a chair or sofa that she's in. That picture is sort of vague. When I think of her, that picture kind of comes to mind because it was just everywhere at that point. If you had a Columbia House, the CD ordering thing or whatever, 10 CDs for a penny, those were albums that were always on there, and they were there with Green Day Dookie or Aerosmith Get a Grip or the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and also
and they were the soundtracks of your life back then, in your childhood, your adolescence.
Yeah, and back then, before the internet, some of those things felt like maybe they had, I don't know if they had more weight or it was just all there was, and sometimes that was the mystery or the mystique where you didn't get to peek behind the veil too much. It seemed maybe like those images, because they were all you had, they were burned in there a little bit more. So it's kind of cool to scratch some of those names off the list. And if, thinking as an 8-year-old, I don't know if I really could have put in context if you had said you'll open up for some of these artists later on in life in these certain situations. I wouldn't have grasped that. The Montreal Jazz Fest, what is that? I wouldn't have made sense to me as a kid. So it's kind of neat to think that little dude that was ordering CDs. I still owe Columbia House, probably hundreds of
dollars. I was just going to say, I think all three of us probably owe Columbia House money right now, right? And you guys have touched on your sound and how that kind of came together, but you definitely been described as modern guitar-driven blues mixed with some classic rock and roots. So is that an accurate description from your guys' perspective? And when you guys are creating your music, kind of what comes first, I guess? Is it the riffs, or is it the lyrics, or is it just that kind of that classic vibe kind of thing?
I wish I was good enough at songwriting to say it comes this way. and this is how I do it. But I'm just not, so I'll take it any way I can get it. However, sometimes it's a riff, sometimes it's the Nashville. I'm writing from the title down. Sometimes it's a melody that won't leave my head. I think Chris is kind of similar in that sense too, where it's like sometimes sometimes you're at work and you're in the coal mine and you're mining, and some days you're just, catching raindrops. They just kind of fall in your lap. But I would say that's probably an accurate description of our sound. If you could say that, it's like as accurate or as lifelike as a Van Gogh painting. So it's like, to one person blues is this, and then somebody else would be like Campbell and Johnston blues. Like they would think that.
Well, I say blues rock more than anything when I say blues, but I think it's a bit of a dichotomy for me because I'm like I love 60s, 70s rock, which is very blues based, and so guitar riffs and like just kind of jamming and noodling, it leads to guitar riffs, which are awesome, and the types of songs I love, like from Deep Purple, Zeppelin, that kind of thing. And then when I write stuff with like stronger lyrical content, I find that it tends to be a little bit more folkier and strummier and simpler in that regard. And I have a bit of trouble sometimes like getting that magical triforce of like melody, which tends to be more pop, and then lyrically, which tends to be more like simple and folk, and then or straightforward and folk, I should say. I'm not saying that folk is simple. And then that, riff rock, you know what I mean? But if you can find that like magical balance somewhere where everything kind of meets, whether it's country or blues or rock, I feel like that's where like the magic synergies happen. But I do tend to struggle with that. So, I mean, each avenue leads me kind of somewhere towards that. But my dream, my hope is that in our studio that we kind of keep writing music that kind of starts to just chisel out our own sound and find a place in the middle of it all. And I can't really say much more than that.
No, right. You mentioned your studio, and from what I understand, you guys built your own studio. Is that right?
That's if the guy that actually built it is watching it, he'd be pretty pissed off right now. Like, no, we didn't really. We kind of told I want it that color.
You were the creative directors for it. There you go.
And exactly, yeah. We put pine trim on the door there. No, it was a good friend of ours that helped us out when we got into this house. The basement was like sort of half finished and not finished well. So we ended up kind of doing some work, and I guess it's studio, rehearsal space, just creative room, kind of doubles as usually if we post up videos or anything like that, it's often done in here. So it kind of doubles or triples as whatever we need to use it. Sometimes it's a yoga studio, for it's whatever it needs to be. But we did do everything.
The music part. We did the music recording.
Oh yeah, everything except the drums on the last record was done here. So it's starting to kind of become, I guess, Campbell and Johnston headquarters, I guess.
And we are starting to record drums now, and we've done a couple so far that are yet to be released, but sounded pretty cool to me.
Right on. So that's got to be handy to have that space, like very accessible to you. So if you get that creative spark, it's right there. You can jump in and record it and not lose it. But you guys have talked about your last album, which is still relatively new. But what are you guys working on now? I know you got the Sommo coming up that we've talked about. But what's next, I guess, for you guys?
Well, we're in the midst of. We've slowly started to kind of fire up the engines a little bit. We've got 2 songs they're not done, but they're basically done. They're as done as we can get them until we have more other material to pair with it. So we're starting to. We don't necessarily have a deadline or a date or anything yet. We're just kind of, oddly enough, for probably one of the first times ever in our career together and our careers separately, we're at a head start, I think. Now we could blow that this winter. All ground we have.
No free bragging.
Have a little bit of stuff kind of started. So we'll see how that goes. If everything goes well, I would probably estimate that within a year to a year and a half, we could have a new release, like a full release.
Yeah.
If the industry is still even allowing bands to release full things, or whether we're told maybe you should just release some singles, but we should have.
We'll precursor it with some singles for sure, at least next year. The next year may not be the official release, I don't know. And we might have a Christmas song this year, but definitely next year. But I guess we could at least say what I would like to aspire to do is finish this album that we're working on. We're also kind of slowly getting a Christmas album on the go, bit by bit. It could take a few years because we just kind of released the Christmas song in between each of our other projects. And then eventually I'd like to do a stripped down folkier album because we've got the material for it mainly. And it's kind of just writing itself. So I feel like another kind of upbeat project like what we're doing or what we did last time, like Paisley Hearts. And then a folkier departure. And then also a Christmas album. So a few things we want to... That's what happens when you have ADHD, but you finally start to organize all those crazy plans you made. They all start to come to fruition.
Right on. Well, we're super excited for that, and we're super excited to see you guys on the main stage at Sommo Festival here in Cavendish, Prince Edward Island. And if for anybody that wants to stay up to date on all your work, all your singles, all the music that's to come and that you've already recorded, head to campbellandjohnstonmusic.com for all the details. Christine, Blake, thank you so much for taking time with me today.
Thanks. Pleasure. And also, just to please note that our website is campbellandjohnstonmusic.com. Johnston is very exotic. It has a T in it. And that place is where you can find like all our music and like connect with us and all that kind of stuff. And I always forget, so I'm trying to drive it home. And thank you so much, Aaron, for having us. It's been a lovely latent conversation, but still very enjoyable. And I hope to say hi at Sommo.
Right, absolutely. We're looking forward to catching you on stage, and I appreciate the time today, guys.
Thanks.
All right, and safe travels.
Cheers.